Jackie Rabin thought her life was over when at 16 a car accident left her paralyzed from the waist down. But a few years later, doctors used adult stem cells from the lining of her nose and placed them on her spine. The results were nothing less than dramatic. Growing up in the small town of Waverly, Illinois, Jackie Rabin spent her days much like any other high school student. She was dating, going to school dances, and playing sports. Her freshman year, she was asked to play on the varsity volleyball team, but shortly after her 16th birthday, that quickly changed. You were 16 when your life changed dramatically. What happened?
Well, it was August 12th of 2003, and I went with some friends. We were going to go road tripping, and we all got in a Blazer, and we were riding around for a while, and we got to this country road that we had turned on, and it was very, very rocky, very bumpy. It really shouldn't even be a road, but we got on that, and we lost control of the vehicle, and it had rolled a couple times, and I got ejected about 100, 200 feet on the gravel. Right away, I knew I had lost feeling in my legs because first I just thought maybe they were asleep or something was wrong. I didn't exactly know what was wrong, but I knew something was up.
Jackie was rushed to the hospital and underwent emergency surgery.
They told my family and everybody else that they think I may be paralyzed and that I might not be able to walk again. And I knew that they were telling people that, but I didn't really know what was going on. I was in shock, and they had me on a lot of medications.
So when did they tell you that you were paralyzed?
The next morning, I was awake, and they had told me that there's a possibility that I may be paralyzed, and they had to do my back surgery, and they said they'd get a more detailed look at it and be able to tell us more after the surgery. And so then I was kind of clinging on to the fact that, well, maybe after the surgery I'll be fine, it's nothing, they'll fix me, it'll be fine, and that's what I thought. And then after the surgery is when, after I woke up, after I got it done, they told me that I am paralyzed and that they don't think I'm going to walk again.
When they first told you, did you believe it was true?
Oh, no. Like I said, I thought that I'd be fine, and this was temporarily. I mean, I can't get hurt. That's what I was thinking. There's a lot of kids my age, or even teenagers, they think they're invincible and nothing could ever happen to them. And I think that's what I thought, that I'll be fine. This can't be happening to me. I went through a lot of depression, like a lot. Like a week after I was home, it sunk in really, really bad, and I was really depressed. I stared at the walls and didn't want any visitors, and I cried a lot, and that's when I think it really sunk in.
As months passed, Jackie began to adjust, but it wasn't easy. What was the hardest part to adjusting to that new lifestyle?
Going uptown again, but actually in my chair or in a car and seeing like other friends uptown just, standing or running around or talking or something. And the hardest part was seeing that and knowing that I can't go running or go with them or do what they're doing.
How different do you think your life would have been without the accident?
I think that, well, since I was very into volleyball, I played volleyball, and I was planning on getting a college scholarship to play volleyball in college. And I think right now I'd probably be playing volleyball in college and probably had a job right now, and just because that's what the main thing I want to be doing is doing what I did before and playing volleyball.
8 months after the accident, Jackie got a phone call that gave her new hope. Her pastor told her about a television special on a medical procedure being done in Portugal.
He said, you need to turn on this channel because I think you really need to watch this because I think you need to do this. And so we caught like the last bit of it, but we saw mainly what it was about. And we saw it and we're like, yeah, that sounds like something I could do. So Mom started a letter writing campaign to different colleges, wrote a letter to like the Michigan hospital to let them know about me because Waverly's such a small town, and how are they going to get my name out? How are they going to get people to know about me, especially in Michigan and Portugal? So we had that, and they said, the doctor in Michigan said he had over like 15 letters sent to him about me, and he was so overwhelmed by Jackie Rabin. So he called me personally and invited us down to Michigan and had us come down, and he told us more about the surgery and checked us out and said that I'm probably a good candidate for this. We went back home and we had to do tons and tons of medical tests just because they're very picky about who they have get the surgery done. And I had to do so many medical tests to make sure that I can get it done and that I qualify, and that's how we got it started.
Jackie had a long road ahead of her. Before she could have the surgery, she'd first need to raise $50,000. That took a year of fundraisers, car washes, benefit walks, golf outings, anything to get Jackie to Portugal. Finally, in October 2005, she arrived and was placed under the care of Dr. Carlos Lima, the leading pioneer of experimental surgery. He was one of the few neurologists worldwide who perform it. What exactly did the doctors do during the surgical procedure?
The first thing they did was they put a tube up my nose to take out the stem cell, which is right between my eyes, and they took that out, and then they had to open my back up about six inches, and then they took the stem cells that they got from between my nose and injected that into the area that I had hurt. So they put that in there, and then they just sewed me back up. That's basically what they were doing.
As Jackie recovered, the hope was that the stem cells would do just what Dr. Lima's team of researchers learned was possible. When the cells, transplanted from her nose to her spinal cord, took on the identity of the cells around them, they would promote new pathways and give Jackie feeling in her legs again.
About 2 weeks after I got home, I had to go do rehab in Michigan.
What did they have you do?
Crawling. The first day I was there, they checked my legs and seen what I could feel, what I couldn't feel, and just wrote about information about me. And then they decided, well, we'll go ahead and do a rehab session today. So the first day they're like, well, let's see if we can get you up and see if you can crawl. And they did that, and I surprisingly could, and I was doing really well, and they had me crawling the first day. I think I surprised the therapist. They're like, wow, you're really good. And they're like, wow, we didn't think, they didn't have to teach me much because I'm a really fast learner. So as soon as they showed me how to do it, I did, and they're like, wow, you're really good. The second day, there was this girl I was working with, and she goes, well, let's put you in some braces and see what we can do with that. And so they got some braces out and stood me on the parallel bars, and she showed me how to move my hips and how to walk. And it's like, okay, I'll try. And I surprised them then too, because I walked really good in the braces, and that was just the second day that I was walking.
When we return, we talk with scientist Dr. David Prentice. He explains why adult stem cell research should be getting more attention.
The obsession on embryonic stem cells in this country has sort of driven away a lot of the good adult stem cell science.
Earlier, we met Jackie Rabin, an Illinois teenager paralyzed after a car accident. Jackie traveled to Portugal for a highly specialized surgery, where doctors took stem cells from her nose and placed them in her spine. 2 weeks later, Jackie began walking in braces. Dr. David Prentice is a senior fellow for life sciences at the Family Research Council's Center for Human Life and Bioethics. He is an internationally recognized expert on stem cell research. Dr. Prentice says too much attention is given to embryonic stem cell research, which has yet to treat or cure anyone. It's adult stem cell research that's proven successful.
Let's be clear, when we talk about adult stem cells, you don't have to be 21 to own an adult stem cell. We're born with those cells in our tissues and organs. They're in umbilical cord blood, they're in placenta. Essentially anything from birth onward counts as an adult stem cell.
Now, have there been recent breakthroughs regarding adult stem cell research?
Well, I think one of those has been in terms of spinal cord injury for patients like Jackie, where Carlos Lima has now got his peer-reviewed publication accepted and published, the first one actually to show adult stem cells successfully benefiting patients that have had a spinal cord injury. They basically have shown that these adult stem cells are just as flexible and just as useful as embryonic stem cells, but without the negatives of tumor formation or getting the wrong cell type.
Dr. Prentice says adult stem cell treatments have fewer problems because cells are the patient's own.
The embryonic stem cells are going to be coming from the little frozen embryos at the IVF clinic. I'm not related to that embryo, and so you put those cells in me, my body will reject them, just like they would any mismatched transplant. With adult stem cells, we can use the patient's own cells. There's no problem with rejection there. They can be easily accepted and then integrate in and start the repair of the damage.
So the thought is that they take adult stem cells from your own body and put them on the injured spine, and then your cells wouldn't reject
Yeah,
the
because it's
adult
my
stem
own
cells.
cells.
Right.
And the hope was to regenerate the cells and get them working in my spine again.
When did you notice a difference?
Like gradually I noticed how I had more hip movement and how feelings started feeling different. Like if somebody touched my leg or something, I could like feel more of that where they touched me and stuff. It's probably, I don't know how long after the surgery, about probably like a month. Yeah.
The fact of the matter is, if you look at the science and what they've actually done with embryonic stem cells, again in mice, because they're not safe or effective yet to even attempt in humans, when they tried to treat diabetic mice with embryonic stem cells, what they found was that the embryonic stem cells didn't even make enough insulin to keep the mouse alive. In fact, there's evidence now they weren't even making any insulin. The diabetic mice still died. In a couple of other instances where they tried to treat diabetic mice, the cells just formed tumors from the embryonic stem cells, and again the mice died. Let's contrast that with what's been done with adult stem cells. There are a number of different researchers now that have shown that they can get adult stem cells from various tissues to form true insulin-secreting cells. The most important result has been by a researcher at Harvard who showed she could get, quotes, permanent reversal of diabetes, end quote, in these diabetic mice using a simple drug and adult stem cells. And in fact, she has FDA approval now to start treating juvenile diabetes patients. So another example of a success with adult stem cells that just isn't there with the embryonic.
Adult stem cells have been used to treat more than 70 diseases and injuries. These include heart attacks, stroke, Parkinson's, leukemia, anemia, and, of course, paralysis. But Dr. Prentice says these successes aren't getting the attention they deserve.
The focus, the obsession on embryonic stem cells in this country has sort of driven away a lot of the good adult stem cell science. And we need to bring that back to the U.S. and focus on it here because that's what's helping patients now.
Why specifically is embryonic stem cell research getting all the attention and all the accolades?
There are some scientists I know, embryonic stem cell scientists, who really believe they can make this work. Despite years and years of frustration and failure, they want to keep working along on that path. And I give them credit that they will, in most of those cases, honestly admit that a human embryo has to be destroyed to get those cells. But they take a utilitarian logic in terms of that. There are those for whom the motivation is economic. They're wed to a certain type of research, the embryonic, because they think they can make money from it, because you can patent embryonic stem cell lines where you can't patent your or my bone marrow adult stem cells. There's a competition for funds. The federal government may seem to have a lot of money, but it's still a limited pocketbook. And so competing for those grant funds to just do the research, there's a push for the embryonic, it seems, over the adult.
Is that the reason, Dr. Prentice, that we're seeing Americans like Jackie have to go abroad to get treatment that they should be getting in America?
It's one of the reasons, certainly. The obsession with embryonic stem cells has led to a climate where I know some scientists, adult stem cell scientists, who are hesitant to even talk about their research publicly. It's made it difficult for them to get grant funds or to publish their research so that they can go ahead and get that FDA approval. They're still struggling along, and we're hoping to see that change in the near future. But in the meantime, as you mentioned, patients are having to go overseas to get treatments that they should be getting here in the U.S.
Do you think doctors in America will finally catch on and start doing this procedure?
I hope so. Sometimes doctors can be a little hard-headed. But I hope that they catch on and see, wow, it can happen. It's not just, you're not in a wheelchair your whole life. You can walk after you get paralyzed, and they need to realize it and do something about it.
By allocating all these billions of dollars to embryonic stem cell research, as some states are doing, like California, what sacrifices are being made in the front of adult stem cell research?
Diseases will be taking longer to be treated simply because we're not focusing on the successful adult stem cell research.
When we return, Jackie makes great strides in therapy.
My goal for the end of the year is to be walking with crutches.
Dr. David Prentice says adult stem cell research is successfully treating thousands of patients. Jackie Rabin is one of them. Paralyzed from a car accident, Jackie underwent stem cell surgery. She is now able to walk with braces and continues to experience a remarkable recovery. Where do you want to be at the end of all of this?
My goal for the end of the year is to be walking with crutches with my braces. And that's one of my big goals right now that I want to be able to do. And then just after that, just get married, get a job and live away from home and just be independent and have kids. That's just like a regular person would want.
And you're well on your way already. You're driving, you have your own car, is that right?
It's a Saturn Ion. It's a 2004, and I had special hand controls put in the car, which I used to drive it, and they're really easy, I think. But we had those put in, and the doors open out, and so I turn around and transfer my chair and put it in the back by myself. I take my chair apart and put it in the back.
You have a boyfriend who was with you before the accident and is still with you today.
We've been dating for almost 4 years now, and we were together about a year before the accident. And then we broke up once, but it wasn't for very long. We got back together, and then after the accident, we were only dating for maybe a couple of weeks before the accident happened, started dating again. And after the accident, he was at the hospital almost every day, and he's just been really great through it all. He does everything for me. I mean, he lifts me to get in the Jeep. He basically piggybacks me anywhere I need to go. If I can't get in, if there's steps, I can get in because he'll piggyback me. I mean, he's just really great. And the fact that he stayed with me after all of it is really, really cool, because not many teenage boys would want to commit themselves to having to do all that.
I understand he helps you with your therapy?
Yeah, he goes up to the church with me and holds me while I walk, or in case I fall, he's there, and he turns me sometimes. And yeah, he goes up almost all the time.
What kind of rehabilitation do you do now?
Pretty much the same thing I did in Michigan. They taught me everything we needed to know when we came home, because we couldn't stay there very long. But they taught me how to use the braces. They taught me crawling and how to use my hip muscles and balancing. And so right now I just do the walking with my parallel bars, and now I'm walking with a walker.
Jackie's grateful for the chance stem cell research gave her to walk again, but she says she draws the line with embryonic. You would have rejected embryonic stem cell research.
I would have had a problem with that.
Why?
Because I don't think I need to harm somebody else or kill somebody else to help myself. That just seems wrong to me.
Jackie's taking her message worldwide. Shortly after this interview, she was scheduled to speak to groups in Washington, D.C. and Ireland.
Basically tell my story and tell what happened and about the surgery, and I went to Portugal, and tell them my views on adult stem cell research and why it's so important that we do it here in Illinois and the United States, and just tell them how I feel about it and just how much success I've gotten back from it and that it really works. Try to make them realize that we need to get something done here.